Hi guys, welcome back to Balls Fan TV, and today we're back with another video doing the match preview for tomorrow's game against Derry City at Celtic Park. Back from the break, obviously before that we picked up a very good win in the showgrounds against Sligo 3-1. Perfect way to respond from a very disappointing Dublin Derby defeat in the game before that, and then to go to Sligo and win 3-1 and put in a really good dominant display was very good to see. And the break probably didn't come at a great time for us after that. You always want to go again the week after when you've got a good winning performance under your belt. But we're back now, and we've got a tough game tomorrow now up in Derry, despite their form. It's never easy going up there. Obviously in different surroundings to the ones that we're normally used to. It's not in the Brandywell, of course, it's in Celtic Park, and that could suit us, of course. It's on a grass pitch, a big pitch. That might suit the way that we play. Definitely compared to what the pitch is like at the Brandywell. But it's just really important that we're able to carry on the form that we've been on now over the last few weeks. We had our sticky patch. Only a few games ago, really. When you look at it, we only we didn't win a game in 9 and only lost 3 games in that period. But there were a few disappointing results, and we did look a little bit lost in certain departments, especially going forward. We were creating lots of chances but not taking them. Defensively, we were starting to struggle a little bit compared to the first series of games, and we were starting to concede a lot more goals, and I think that is still an issue for us. But at least going forward, we're starting to take a few more shots that we're creating. We're starting to look a bit more of a threat, when we get forward, and long may that continue, of course, and hopefully we'll see the same tomorrow. But like we said, I don't think it's ever easy going up Derry, despite the fact that they've had a poor season thus far. There's a lot of pressure on Tiernan Lynch at the moment. I think they've only won 4 games so far this season, and we're 20 games in. So very, very poor for their standards. We all thought that they'd be, well up there, potentially winning the league, with the business that he did in the off season. But it's just not gone to plan there at all, and the pressure is starting to pile on Tiernan Lynch, and they probably need a win here, really, to really make that animosity amongst the fan base go away, because I don't even think a draw would do them much, really. They are kind of in danger of being cut adrift, in terms of getting into that top 3 or 4. So they'll be out here looking to win. So we've got to be on top form, because you don't get anything handed to you up in Derry. You've got to be well on your game if you want to get a result. So that's what we have to do. Going on to the team then, Casper and goal, of course. Defensively, I think we'll stick with the same back 3 that we had in Sligo: Cian Burr, Sam Todd and Patrick Hickey. Then I think you'll have Dara Power as your right wing back, and then I think Dale Rooney played the first half there in Sligo. Didn't think he had his best game. I thought his crossing was a little bit off. Came off a half time then for Jordan Flores, but I think there's no doubt, when Dale Rooney's on the pitch, he can create something out of nothing. He can put a great ball in. He can, obviously, we know he can be dangerous from set pieces. I know in that department he wasn't great against Sligo, and that was probably why he was taken off. But I think when he's on the pitch, he's probably one of our best creative outlets, if not our best. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Dale Rooney, despite the fact that he probably didn't have the greatest of games to his standards against Sligo. Midfield, then I think you've got to stick with Dawson Devoy and Sadou Diallo as your 2. I think both of them have worked really well together. I think Diallo brings that bit of calm into the midfield that is always a really, really good thing to have in a midfielder. You don't think he's going to do anything silly. He's got an eye for a pass. Keeps the ball really well, and obviously Dawson, off the back of his first Ireland cap as well. In a game where the game probably wasn't suited to him, really. It was quite a direct game, and we know that you know to get the best out of Dawson, you have to give him the ball and allow him to work his magic. So, of course, that call up and that cap will be a huge boost to his confidence. So, let's hope he'll carry on the great form that he's shown this season, and I'm sure he will, because a player of that quality just delivers constantly, and that's what he's done for us now for the last year, nearly 2 years that he's been back with us. Moving further forward, then I think I'll have Harry Vaughan and Ross Tierney kind of as 2 10s, maybe. We know Tierney can operate on the wing from time to time. Probably not the way you can get the best out of him, but for Vaughan anyway, I think it'd be really nice to see him be able to pick up where he left off in Sligo and be able to kind of drop into the middle and receive the ball and use the space to get others into goal scoring opportunities or for him to go on and run himself and be able to create something for himself. So he had a really good game against Sligo and let's hope that if he's given the opportunity to start again, which I'm sure he will, he'll be able to replicate that performance and also kind of stake a claim because Hull City put out their retained release players list there yesterday and his contract is set to expire in July and he's not going to get a new one. So it would be really good for us to hopefully get him in on a permanent deal. I think it's ultimately down to him as well because I'm sure he'll have other offers from England and potentially here in the league as well. So if he feels he has to trust the Reynolds, because it's not always been easy for him. Of course, he's been in and out of the team, but if he's got the trust of the manager, then hopefully we can sort out a permanent deal there. Moving on to the striker, then you've got a decision to make here. Of course, obviously Douglas James Taylor gets the goal in the first half against Sligo and then comes off a half time for Colin Whelan, who gets himself on the score sheet as well. So both of them are off the back of goals, and there is again another debate to be had about which one will get the nod. It's a difficult one to call because both of them made cases for starting the game, but I think Dougie may just get the nod over Whelan. I think he's just been able to get in ahead of Whelan recently. I know Whelan started the Rovers game, but Dougie started down in Galway, got a goal, started the Sligo game, got a goal. So, of course, we know that they offer things in different ways. Whelan probably a little bit more of a hard worker, probably better with the ball at his feet and linking up with other players, whereas Dougie, you probably fancy him a bit more to put the ball in the back of the net. He probably has a bit more of a finish on him as well. He can score really good goals. So it's of course it's a tough one to call. But I think Dougie may just get the nod. It's really important that we go here and show that we're the form team and really stamp our authority on the game. Of course, that's difficult. It's not going to be all plain sailing. Despite Derry's form, they're at home. They'll be looking to really kick on now that the break has been and gone. They'll be looking to start something new. And obviously there's we spoke about the pressure on Tiernan Lynch and how it's probably now or never for him. And there is pressure on Derry to win. But I think just given our form at the minute, the way that we've been able to turn it around after disappointing few weeks, not winning the nine, and that in recent weeks then to hit the vein of form that we're in at the minute and put in some really good dominant performances and come away with big wins, especially on the road as well. Our away form has been really good, especially outside of Dublin. I think we've not lost an away game outside of Dublin so far this season. So of course, be looking to carry that on. We got a really good win in the Brandywell earlier in the season. We played them in Dalymount as well in May, and it was probably a game of two halves. Second half we were probably the better side and could have won it really, but didn't create enough. So we've had some good battles with Derry this season, and tomorrow's going to be no different. I do expect a tight game, a close one, but as long as we come away with 3 points, it doesn't really matter how we play or how the game goes. We just want to come out there with a win and carry on the great turn of form that we've had over the last few weeks. And if we can win and Rovers lose to Shells, we can close the gap on Rovers down to 3 points. So that would really help keep our slight chances of a title race alive. So we just need to do our bit now and come away with 3 points tomorrow. And I'm going to back us to do it. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. Like I said, it'll be a close one. You don't really get anything handed to you up in Derry, even if they're on poor form. So any sort of win would be absolutely massive. It's very rare that you're able to go up there twice and win in a season. So it'd be really big if we could do that. So that's where I'll end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment down below your thoughts on the game. We've got the European draw coming up on Tuesday. That's another big day. I'll make a video on that when the draw is concluded. So keep your eyes out for that one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.